Dear students, let us begin Lecture 3 of Week 10 on Registration and Licensing. Today we will be focusing on Registration cum Membership Certificate. So as we have already discussed in detail the Importer-Exporter Code, now we will begin with a detailed discussion on Registration cum Membership Certificate, which is RCMC. We also have a provision for an e-copy of RCMC, which also we will be discussing shortly, named as ERCMC. Now let us get a quick look on what are the various things we are going to cover today. First of all, we will introduce you to what an RCMC or ERCMC is. Why do we need an RCMC certification? As an exporter, why would an exporter require an RCMC certificate or an ERCMC certificate? Who is the issuing body or governing body for RCMC in India? Who are the various exporters that need it and is mandatory for them to require and get issued an RCMC? Once an RCMC is issued to the exporter, what is the validity of the RCMC certificate, how long it needs to be renewed, and how long no renewal is needed. Then we will proceed on to the documents that are usually needed for every exporter before applying for an ERCMC or RCMC, and without those documents, the issue would not be possible. Next, we will approach towards the application process. We will look in detail what is the entire process of application for the RCMC in the various issuing bodies. We will then see how important it is to choose the right counsel by every exporter. It depends on the kind of product or the line of product they are involved in exporting and trading. Dear students, we will then progress into studying its link with various DGFT schemes. Students, you must recall here the various DGFT schemes that we have already learned in detail. For example, the Export Promotion of Capital Goods Scheme, the Project Import Scheme, the IGCR 2017 scheme, and similar others. Dear students, once we have understood the link of RCMC certificate with DGFT schemes, we will see how digital RCMC helps the exporter. How is it more beneficial than getting a physical copy of RCMC? So basically, we will see how digitalization has improved and eased the whole issue and flow of documentation in export procedure. We will then look into the fees that is applicable on the issue of RCMC and what is the timeline for this. Dear students, to err is to human. So every exporter is bound to make some mistakes, some errors while applying for the RCMC or at an advanced stage where they fail to get it renewed or they fail to update the company organization or structure, and thus these pitfalls must be fixed. So later on we will be discussing on what are the very common mistakes that every exporter makes in the process of applying for the RCMC and even after the RCMC is issued by the concerned authority. Let us now see what an RCMC actually is. An RCMC, standing for Registration cum Membership Certificate, is a kind of proof document giving the evidence that the firm is registered with an export promotion council or a commodity board. It is important to highlight here that various commodity boards are being set up for the particular promotion and trade facilitation of traditional commodities such as tea, coffee, spices, etc. So we have a dedicated tea board for the export of tea commodities. We have a dedicated coffee board for the export promotion and facilitation of coffee exports, and similarly we have a spice board. Export promotion councils also serve as a export promotion agency for various exporters. They guide the exporters at various steps and helps them in the entire export procedure. According to the various export promotion councils, the links and schemes would be different, and an exporter could get full knowledge of these particular schemes applicable on their line of product through their particular export promotion council. But in order to get this information, in order to be a part of this network, and this network contains similar kind of exporters exporting in the same line of product, when an exporter wants to get knowledge and guidance for the export of these specific commodities, they need to enter into this network, and the entry is determined by the registration, and the document referred to is the registration cum membership certificate, which is RCMC. So as we have already noted, this RCMC certificate can be issued in a physical form as a hard copy or also in the digital form known as the eRCMC. Digitalization process has taken an advanced pace in the current scenario, and it has entered the arena of trade, international trade, and progressed quite well. Countries are now trying to step up their digitalization efforts, particularly in the international trade scenario. That is why paperless trade facilitation is of utmost importance, and one of the examples we can cite for the paperless trade facilitation is issue of eRCMC. This eRCMC is issued on the DGFT platform. So once you as an exporter have made an profile, an import-export code number, then on the same platform you can apply for the eRCMC certificate, and the eRCMC certificate can be issued on the DGFT platform. As noted before, the certificate links the IEC number that was issued to the exporter to a product group so that policy benefits and services can be tracked smoothly. But you may ask, why is it required at all? Of course, one reason that we have already seen is to get registered to the specific export promotion council and get proper guidance and enter and be connected into a network of similar line of exporters. There are other reasons as well which may facilitate and encourage an exporter to register with a particular export promotion council. Many DGFT schemes and council services are available only to members with a valid RCMC or eRCMC. So the registration with a particular export promotion council would make you available to various additional services or additional benefits that may not be available to an exporter who is not registered with a promotion council through the RCMC certificate. It helps the exporter access market intelligence, trade fairs, training, and product specific guidance. In addition to product specific guidance, the exporter, once they are part of a integrated network of similar exporters under the Export Promotion Council, they can get entry into international trade fairs or exhibitions. They can also be trained under various capacity building workshops meant for the exporters exclusive to the particular Export Promotion Council. They can also get information about various market intelligence tools. Students, banks and authorities accept the RCMC certificate as a formal proof that the particular exporter is recognized in that particular sector of exports. So, this RCMC certificate serves as a proof or evidence of recognition of the exporter, without which the exporter can try to export, but they will lose out on several exclusive benefits that would be available for the exporter only if they are the registered member of the particular export promotion council. Now, let us look into who is the issuing authority of this RCMC certificate. This RCMC certificate is issued by both export promotion councils as well as commodity boards. And each commodity board in their particular domain issues RCMC for that domain only. This simply means that a Chemical Export Promotion Council will only issue RCMC for exporter who is involved in the exports of chemical goods only, or a CAPEXIL or a Chemical and Allied Products Export Promotion Council will only be supplying or issuing RCMC for an exporter who exports in the specified domain. There are some examples. For example, the Engineering Export Promotion Council is meant for engineering goods exporters. The AEPC, Apparel Export Promotion Council, is only meant for apparel products. Similarly, APEDA is meant for processed goods. So, an exporter must identify their specific line of products to be exported and then contact and reach the specific Export Promotion Council meant for the guidance of that particular product. Who should obtain an RCMC? Manufacturer exporters, merchant exporters, as well as service exporters are eligible to obtain RCMC, and it is mandatory on them to be registered with the particular Export Promotion Council or Commodity Board. Importers who seek council services may also enroll where permitted by the council. So basically, RCMC registration is mandatory for exporters, not for importers, but in some circumstances, even importers can approach the respective council if they want to avail any particular council services. So for example, if the exporter's company exports multiple product groups, then they can reach out to multiple export promotion councils and commodity boards according to the various product lines they are indulged in. So at a time, an exporter can get multiple RCMC or RCMC based on the various product lines they are involved in. Now let us see what is the validity and what is the renewal process of registration cum membership certificate. RCMC or ERCMC is valid for a defined period under Council and DGFT guidelines. According to the DGFT guidelines, an RCMC is valid for a period of 5 financial years starting from 1st April of the first financial year and is valid up to 31st March of the last financial year. So for a 5-year period, one RCMC issued would be valid. After 5 years have finished, then only the exporter would approach for a renewal of that particular RCMC certificate. And if the exporter has been issued RCMC from several export promotion councils or commodity boards, the same rule will apply on these multiple RCMCs of a validity of 5-year period. Membership stays active when you pay the annual fee and update KYC details on time. KYC details updation is an important thing to always remember by an exporter. Most councils offer online renewal through their portal or through the DGFT platform. So in order to protect the exporters from unnecessary paperwork and further delays and cutting out some intermediary steps, the ERCMC renewal is also being promoted by the DGFT, so the exporter can approach getting the renewal of RCMC certificate through online mode. But what are the basic documents that are needed to apply for a RCMC certificate? Dear students, as we have already noted earlier in the previous lectures, an IEC number serves as the cornerstone of trade documentation procedure or export procedure. Every scheme, every benefit, and even the export proceed realization is linked to the IEC number, Importer Exporter Code number. So obviously, the application for RCMC means that the basic documents that needs to be there by an exporter is the IEC number, a permanent account number, GST number, constitution documents. Constitution documents here means documents related to the organization or company. What are the number of directors? What is where is the company located? The exact address. How many directors are there? How is the organization structured? And so on and so forth. The location of the company should be supported by the proof of address. These documents are mandatory and serves as basic documents before applying for a RCMC. The exporter must provide a bank certificate or a cancelled check to confirm account details. Obviously, when the exporter is providing their bank account details, it must be supported by either a cancelled check or a bank certificate. There are examples of some councils which specifically demand a product list with particular HS codes and a brief company profile. So the product that the exporter is engaged in and the HS codes assigned to that line of products need to be furnished on the demand of several export promotion councils or commodity boards. Now let us see quickly what is the application procedure of RCMC certificate. The first step is creating a login on the specific portal of the council, or the exporter can also use the DGFT eRCMC module in case the council is integrated. Then the exporter must fill the details of the firm, the people that can be contacted by the DGFT in case of verification or other information, the product that the exporter involves in, and also approve and also upload the various proofs of evidence. Next step is paying the membership fee online and final submission of the application in order to receive the certificate. Before applying, it is also important for the exporter to be sure of the right council to go ahead with. It is important to know what are the products and assign them to the correct HS codes. So an exporter may be indulged in the manufacture and export of a number of products, but before applying for RCMC, they must identify the primary export line. The correct HS codes must be identified, including the correct product description. It may happen many a times that the exporter only identifies the product description and misses out on furnishing the correct HS code. In this situation, the right RCMC would not be issued and the entire process would be delayed, even calling for a rejection of the application. So the first step for an exporter is to pick the right council. In case the exporter is confused between 2 or 3 councils, they must reach out to the secretariats of those multiple export promotion councils and receive their guidance on what is the coverage of each export promotion council. Only after getting proper guidance, they must decide on which export promotion council to go ahead with. So obviously, if an exporter's line of product is highly diversified, it is natural for them to approach multiple export promotion councils for RCMC. It is possible to receive multiple RCMC certificates, but the producer or exporter must clearly map out the product lines that they are involved in. Now let us look at some examples of receiving an RCMC certificate dependent on the sector in which exporter is engaged in. Here we have a exporter engaged in spice. This is a small spice company which is planning to export ground coriander and cumin to the Gulf states. It is natural for them to go ahead with the Spices Board of India for issuing of the RCMC certificate. And in this process, they use the IEC number, the PAN, GSTIN, address proof of the company, and bank details in addition to the cancelled check. Once these documents, the proofs of evidence, and all the information furnished by the exporter on the DGFT portal or the specific council's portal is approved, the firm then uses the membership to join buyer-seller meets and receive updates. So the RCMC certificate allows the spice exporter to be a part of various buyer-seller meets and approach foreign buyers by being a part of this network. So this is how RCMC certification can benefit the exporters, make them a part of a larger network, indulging in the same line of products, and open new doors of opportunities for these sector-specific exporters. Let us now go ahead with another example involving auto parts exporter. In this case, the exporter would approach the Engineering Export Promotion Council for the issuance of RCMC, and what is required and is most important is furnishing the correct HS code for bolts, nuts and CNC machined parts. The company would be utilizing the RCMC membership to use the council network in order to join an overseas trade fair. Let us also look at an apparel exporter's case. A garment manufacturer wants to expand to North America and the European Union. The next step for this apparel exporter would be to join a Apparel Export Promotion Council by issuing a RCMC certificate, and in return the council will be guiding the apparel exporter on buyer requirements and various sourcing shows. So they can import various raw material also by being a part of these international trade shows. Dear students, RCMC is really important for the exporter due to its unbreakable association with various DGFT schemes. It has often been asked by the DGFT and other officials whenever the exporters are applying for receiving the benefits of any scheme. Examples could be the EPCG scheme or Advanced Authorization Scheme. RCMC certification also supports claims for incentives where council membership is prescribed. Keeping the certificate valid avoids last-minute returns in online processing. So having an RCMC certificate handy is really important in order to protect an exporter or protect themselves from last-minute returns hassle or delays in getting the benefits of these refunds according to the schemes that they have qualified for. How does digital RCMC helps? Digital RCMC removes paper handling, as we have already discussed, and stores the certificate in your DGFT profile. So for the next 5 years, the exporter is ready with the RCMC certificate as and when is required, as and when they require to apply for any DGFT scheme, as it is available readily in the DGFT portal or their particular profile on the portal. Membership data flows to systems used for event approvals and scheme processing. So for any future events that the particular council organizes, the RCMC certificate would be reaching without any hassle and no hardships would be involved in the entire process. Verification becomes easier for banks and customs during profile checks. Once your profile has an RCMC certificate, it is a kind of recognition for the exporter and it makes life easy for the exporter in the eyes of customs officials and even the banks. It is a kind of trust that you have built by being registered with the particular Export Promotion Council or Commodity Board. Each council publishes membership fees and category-wise charges on its website. In order to get information on the application fees and sector-specific fees, every promotion council has it mentioned in their particular website. Processing is easy and quick once KYC, product coverage, and payments are correct. Delays happen mainly because of incomplete documents or mismatched names and addresses. In many situations, there is a huge mismatch between the HS code mentioned and the product description. So, these errors are minimal and looks really small in the eye, but they go on to create huge hurdles for the exporters. So these small errors or mistakes should not be ignored or overlooked. How to avoid these common mistakes? You should maintain as an exporter, one must maintain a one-page master of firm details and simply paste the same text into all forms. In case the exporter's firm has gone through any changes in terms of change in directors, change in the products being manufactured and then exported, these amendments should be mentioned in the RMC without any further postponement. A number of councils allow making amendments online with the proper scans of the supporting documents. If the exporter chooses to quickly update these changes, they will be protecting themselves from future problems and hurdles like claiming any scheme benefits or participating in the future trade fairs or other exhibition or related events. The council may choose to suspend or cancel membership of any exporter firm if they think that at any step the exporter or the firm has provided a false information or have violated the rules of the application procedure. But before going on to exercise this option, the councils will make an allowance for the exporter to come up with an explanation and also to rectify the errors made in the records. Thus, it is important for the exporter to maintain clean compliance and respond to council emails on time to avoid disruption. So, quick action and response is the key for exporters to avoid any such actions or missteps by the councils. So dear students, here is how we conclude this lecture. By now we have understood that RCMC or digital RCMC looks simple but is a important step in the complex export journey. It connects you to your sector council, unlocks support, and keeps DGFT applications smooth. It is important for the exporter to pick the right council, be consistent in all the documents and the information they are supplying in the process of application, and use the membership to grow their export numbers. Thank you.